to support women creators in Cuba, and today's talk will concentrate mostly on this initiative because this works. So without further ado, please welcome Chrislie.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much for coming and for joining to this talk. Thank you, Data, for the presentation, very detailed. And in my career, as Data mentioned, I have worked in many galleries. I have spent 16 years after graduating from History of Art, working in institutional galleries run by the government. And in that time, I realized that women artists were not equally represented as men. So let me give you some examples. Here we have Acacia Gallery, which is a gallery run for the government, by the government. This is the list of the artists you find that they represent. I put in red the name of the artists, women artists that they have on their list. Also, we have the El Apartamento, who is an independent gallery. This gallery was born in Havana, but now it's also represented in Madrid. And this is the list. All of those names, I have to say, are very important Cuban artists, very well known internationally also. But you see that there are only a few women artists. Actually, I put the E in the side of Miren Dois because she's a Spanish artist. They are working now more internationally, so they're also representing Spanish and other places artists. So also, I could see that there were only a few solo exhibitions from women artists, and if they organized a group show, only a few names of women artists appeared. So I said, well, of course, there's something here. If we speak about the legitimizing, can I say that? Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous and sorry for my English, but I think everything will be okay. As I was speaking about the legitimizing structures within the Cuban artistic scene, I brought this example. We have in Cuba, this prize is the Cuban National Prize for Visual Arts that was established in 1994 with the aim of recognizing and honoring the most outstanding Cuban visual artists for their lifetime achievements. It is awarded annually to a Cuban artist living and resident in Cuba in recognition of their body of work. This is what the institution says. This is the statement from the institution. But in 30 years, only 4 women have been awarded with this prize. So it's something to think about. These are the women that were awarded. The first one was Rita Longa. For me, this is very funny because she's a sculptor. She's from the modern Cuban art. But at that time, she shared the prize. She shared the prize with a man, who was also a sculptor. And then, in 2019, Lesbia Ben-Dumois was awarded with the prize. Also in 2022, Flora Fong, and 2023, Zaida del Rio. So as you can see, it's something recent that people, institutions, are looking to women artists in a valuable way. Also, well, this is also interesting because you might think there are not many women artists in Cuba. No, we have a lot. A lot of women artists are graduated every year from the University of Arts, from the Fine Arts Academy. So but we don't see them in the system of promotion in Cuba. We continue with the Cuban Fine Arts Museum. I did this kind of research in the Cuban Fine Arts Museum, and I saw what they were showing. I have to say that in Cuba exists only one museum of fine arts that holds the most important collection of Cuban art since the colony until nowadays. So we have like two buildings, one dedicated to Cuban art and the other one is for international art. But that building that holds the collection of Cuban art, they only show 8.4% of women artists against 91.6% of men artists. And also, these are the artworks. Of course, it's the same. Only 7.1% are signed by women against 90.5% signed by men. I included also the anonymous just to have the complete idea. So I'm talking about 299 artists in the first diagram, and 274 are men, and only 25 are women, shown in the rooms of the Cuban Fine Arts Museum. So that is telling us something. I know that these institutions and the museum, of course, are working in collecting works from women artists recently, but I'm not speaking about what they have on the storage or they have been collecting recently. I'm talking about the story they're telling, and this means something. So it's also essential to consider something about the absence of a cultural policy in Cuba that explicitly incorporates gender equality, reveals a broader institutional gap, and there is no defined framework or strategic guidance for developing initiatives focused on equity within the cultural sector. So this is another lack that we have in Cuba. I know other places have like specific cultural policies for that, but we are still, I hope, working on that. And that, in this context, for me, it was important to pose this question that is there. How do we build spaces for those who remain inequitably represented in the mainstream art world, still marked by rigid binaries and exclusionary structures? Well, that's why I decided to start with this idea of Piso 34. But I think this is not, even though I started this in 2023, I think I have been working on this, or at least thinking about this, from a long time. And I brought you some examples. Here, when I used to work in Villa Manuel Art Gallery in Havana, I curated this exhibition named Today My Voice Has a Sound from Mabel Poblet, who is a woman. And she was speaking about the right of women to express themselves, even though this could be painful. You can see a lot of pain in these works. And also to have the right to talk about the violence they suffer. So it was at the time, it wasn't very common to find that kind of works. Actually, when we were preparing the exhibition, some people said that it was like very violent, the images. But anyway, the other exhibition I curated in this gallery was this one. It was a group exhibition entitled They Do Speak. And it was about how women speak about pleasure and eroticism. Two topics that are not very well seen in women mouth or thoughts. And it was like 6 artists. At that time, I invited a Colombian artist, Adriana Marmorek, who joined to the exhibition. And it was a nice experience to see how they could express themselves, their ideas about pleasure, sex, eroticism. And after some years, it's interesting because I realized how both projects were talking about the necessity to speak, how women needed to speak, to say something about something. And of course, to be heard. Later in 2019, I curated this exhibition named Amora, who is the feminine from the noun amor, who in Spanish, love. But amor in Spanish is masculine. So I tried to change that to give this idea to think about how women think about love. And I have, these are another images from the exhibition, the artists that participated. And then I also thought that it was interesting to put some women in this selling and this structure for our market. And that's why I decided to, in Habana Gallery, to present this proposal of 3 Cuban women artists for the 2020 edition of Sonamaco Art Fair. So I realized that this is not something that I started like yesterday or 2 years ago as a platform. It's something that I have been thinking about because I don't know, I felt the necessity through the how can I say that, through the daily experience. And well, today we have Piso 34, which is an inclusive curatorial platform oriented to support women and identified as women creators in Cuba. I mean inclusive because we understand women as in a wide sense of the term. I mean, we are open to welcome trans women and all people identified as women. Also, we believe it's a collaborative platform because we believe that collaboration, it's a power. So that power of working together as women, so we try to work on that. And it's something interesting because as women, we're usually taught to fight against each other, to be competitive, to gain some prize. So we need to be the most beautiful, the youngest, the skinniest. So it's something that is imposed by the society, but I think that work on that collaboration. And also I think that when you collaborate, you involve others with your own values. So that's why I believe in this collaborative experience. And also it's platform, experimental and transdisciplinary because one of the things I have mentioned, it's women creators, not women artists. Because creators, it's more open. Artists, the word artist is usually associated with visual art. But here I am speaking about creators, and I want to welcome women artists, women creators from other manifestations. So I'm interested in experiment the relationship between maybe visual arts and music, visual arts and dancing, and so on, just to see, because I'm also interested in this intersection, in these liminal territories between the different manifestations. And of course, we have to speak about gender. But sometimes when you speak about a work made by a woman, people say, oh, it's so tender, or it's so delicate. I don't want to follow this kind of stereotypes. I would like to use gender as a lens, as a way of think about these other concepts that for me are very important, like memory, identity, power, resistance. And I believe that there is a female point of view for things. Because if you're talking about, I don't know, home, you won't say the same things than a man. If you're talking about your, I don't know, about history, about other topics, I think that the female approach it's important, and that's why I would like to use like gender in this way. And I have to say why the name of this. I chose the name of Piso 34. Piso 34, it's in a certain way an homage to Ana Mendieta, who is a Cuban artist. She came to the United States like as a kid when she was 13 years old. And she developed a very interesting artistic career here, but she was also trying to find her roots, her connection with Cuba. So for me, she's also a Cuban artist. And she fell or was pushed from a 34th floor. And it was a kind of dramatic situation in her life. And it's something that I've realized about women artists. Many of the women artists who are well known have associated a kind of dramatic episode on their lives, like Ana Mendieta or Frida Kahlo or Sylvia Plath or so many. And that's what that's the story that I want to change. So I don't want that women became well known because they have to suffer. I want that they become well known because they support each other and they have the space to think and to express themselves. So Ana Mendieta was also one of the artists that spoke about feminism, but in a different way, because she spoke in a decolonial approach of feminism, because she felt oh my God. Oh my God, forgot the word, but anyway. She knew that if you were a white woman, you didn't have the same discrimination as a racialized woman. So she incorporated another problem to this idea of feminism. And because of that, I also felt that she was like an inspiration from this project. And well, I believe that the platform is very diverse, but we want to put curating as the main practice, because curating, it's about creating narrative and engaging audience. So curating is a strong tool for challenging dominant narrative and amplify historically marginalized voices. And that's why, as I said, we are putting in the center curating as the main practice for the platform, even though we have other strategies for promoting women artists. And because of that, in 2024, January, we opened the first exhibition of this project. The name was also Piso 34. And this exhibition was part of a bigger event organized by an institution, Center for the Development of the Arts in Cuba, that is for supporting emerging artists in Cuba. And the topic of this exhibition was home. So for women, speaking about home could be a very challenging thing. And this is a group of great women that joined me in the exhibition. The exhibition was inspired by the essay A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, where she says that it's necessary for a woman to have her own room as a symbol of the material and psychological freedom essential to creative work. But also, I was inspired by Femme Maison de Louis Bourgeois, because she was speaking about the oppression caused by the traditional female role in the domestic space. So with these two ideas, I wanted to prepare that exhibition, but also I realized that in the exhibition we found many works and that spoke about the relationship between these concepts that became a constant in my practice in what I am interested in. So we found like home memory, home identity, home power, home resistance. These are some images of the opening. And here you have, the exhibition was open in the studio of one of the artists that was participating. And it's a house, because in Cuba, it's very common that the studio of the artists are like remodeled houses. This one was built in 1916, so it's a very old house. And as you can see, it was in not very good constructive conditions. But anyway, I decided to put the exhibition in this space because I believe that the idea of home is a concept under construction. So we're every day working on this idea. And yes, you see the hole in the ceiling and everything, but and the elements of the house were part of the exhibition too. I put together artists from different backgrounds, graduated artists from the academy and the university, but also self-taught artists, because I believe that creation, it's not about what you study. And also artists from different generations, because I wanted to give like different perspective about home. Well, as I said, the platform is not only for doing exhibitions. I'm also very focused on the research, because I want to, this research, I would love to be for identifying and giving visibility to women artists who have been overlooked or underrepresented in the official narratives of Cuban art history. Also, to examine and critically expose the gender-based inequalities embedded in the system of art promotion and legitimization in the Cuban cultural context. To document and promote the work of contemporary Cuban women artists, both within the island and in the diaspora, through exhibitions, critical writings, interviews, and other promotional strategies. and to systematize the current artistic production of Cuban women in order to map out their main thematics concern aesthetics, approaches, and socio-political perspectives. It's that this last idea is very interesting to me because we have, as I said, a lot of women artists that have worked in different topics. But in Cuba, I have to say that if a woman might identify or define herself as an artist, she wouldn't say never that she's a feminist artist. So they speak about women, they speak about different topics, but they don't recognize themselves as feminists. So this is something very interesting that I think not only happens in Cuba, it could happen in other contexts. But anyway, that's the idea to put the research into these objectives. So I have to say that in this way, we have tried to put some articles in certain platforms. This one is a Spanish platform. The name is Mujeres Mirando Mujeres, is like women looking at women. And it's for curators or cultural managers that are interested in the work of women artists. And here there are one interview and one article about two excellent women artists in Cuba. Also, we participated in kind of presentations to create synergies and possibilities of future collaboration with other people with similar values, with similar interests. And then we're using our Instagram account to promote the work of women artists, but also to give information about the inequalities in the Cuban art scenery for women artists. So that's why I'm happy that the first exhibition of this platform was about home, because in certain way, Piso 34 aims to be a kind of home in the Virginia Woolf sense, a place for people women to think about themselves and to think about their own futures. So in this way, Piso 34 proposes a way of seeing, thinking, and narrating art from a transformative perspective, one that centers the voices, experiences, and creative contributions of Cuban women artists. I have to say that, of course, I'm focusing now in the context of Cuba because it's where I come from. It's what I know the best. But I would love to, with the collaborative perspective, to see how women from different parts of the world speak about certain topics. I have been thinking about, for example, the topic of motherhood, and actually it's something that came from the talks and the visit studios I had here in the residency and with certain artists. We have been talking about this topic, and it's something interesting to maybe to explore. And well, that's it. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for everything. Thank you I have to thank the RU for all the support or all your help. And well, it has been a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about artists, women artists, just artists in general. What are your thoughts about that? Because I feel like we keep doing that, and the undefined runs our life, so it might be something we don't even see. But instead of just declaring, continue to say we are artists instead of women artists, that makes us, we continue that thing that nobody focuses on us, and it's almost like we're not good enough to be artists.
Yes, it's an interesting question. Um, I believe in the label of women artists in the sense of creating community. It's the same for the LGBT community. LGBT community. Why they don't are just people? They're just people, but they need to be recognized. And in the moment, we are still in that situation. So labeling, it's it's helpful for a way of recognition, for a way of creating community, creating boundaries. Of course, I would love that the day we can say just artists. But that's my idea about it.
Strength in numbers.
Sorry?
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious to know a little bit about some of the challenges you faced in organizing these types of exhibitions in Cuba. Right? For example, I worked at a historic feminist art space here in New York for some time, and I think one of the challenges, a subtle challenge that I faced on a daily was similar to your question, but was this idea of the women's gallery, this kind of pedantic, and it was subtle, or in different places, we didn't know the historic relevance of the space. You would kind of be like, it's the ladies, that's so minor compared to when this gallery started in the 60s and has affiliation with Pan Am. Actually, she was a member. It's a cooperative space, and the challenges then were different. But I'm curious to see maybe there's a few questions in what I'm asking. I'd be curious what were some of the challenges that you faced, and how have these challenges changed over time?
Well, in Cuba, I think speaking more openly about women artists, about the work they're doing, I think it had a good effect, because I have seen more now exhibitions about women artists, exhibition of women artists. So I think in that case, we are not in the moment of okay, women. So I think they're I don't know, realizing that, oh my God, we have missed something. So let's do something for this. Let's try. Of course, there are challenges about where to exhibit. There are not many spaces for exhibiting in Cuba. The most part of them are run by the state, by the government, and they have a schedule. And it's more complicated as an independent curator, to get into that places. That's why I have been thinking about having my own space or working in a collaboration with those spaces. But as I said before, for now, I think it's important to let them know our values. So, as I said, when you bring people to work with you, so you make them part of your own thing. So that's why until now, I haven't decided to have my own space that would be like a place for speaking, for giving the message for. And of course, other challenges are basic of how to get the funds for certain exhibition, and sometimes you want to do like a bigger installation, but you can't. But I think it happens everywhere. Yeah. But I don't know if I answered your question, but
What do you, I was gonna ask about the word creators that you use, and like artists specifically, and we talked a little bit about that in the context of like officially recognized artists, like what you know, like our the status of an artist working in Cuba, but like, do you also look at women creators who are, you know, like self-taught artists, or what they call like folk art? Like, how broad do you go in your definition?
yeah, in Cuba, there is a structure for studying art. You go to the art academy, and then you go to the university, and then you get a kind of let's say permission, but you have a kind of condition of artist. And you are allowed to sell your art in the institutions, you are allowed to be part of exhibitions, but it's not the same with self-taught artists because they came from another background. So it's harder for them to have access to these places, and sometimes they exhibit maybe in alternative places or private spaces which are not specifically galleries but might show art. Could be a restaurant that shows art or any other places. So in this sense, in following this idea, I would love to incorporate all that kind of artists to give them the same opportunities, because it's not like you're better than the other one because you're graduated or not. In terms of creation, anybody can tell you if you are or not an artist. It's what I think.
So how do people find you?
In the world, I mean.
Like your website, you ask
Well,
for their email.
I have now I am in the this Instagram account. I will start to work in the website, which is not very easy in Cuba. I have to find a domain and all that bureaucratic process. But anyway, we are Cubans and we find a way. So I'm starting to work in the website, and of course, that website I would love to be also like another platform. You know, like take the benefits from the online world and then use them for my purpose. So yes, it's a long work to do. I have the experience from the galleries, which is not the same, but I think it might help. And it's like a starting journey. So that's why I appreciate the possibility to be here and share this with you, and to bring this project into the next level.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.